Okay, well, I'm pleased to make this little introductory video to the Word Microscope. What I want to do is just going to whip through a little investigation and give you a sense of what you can do with this tool. When you open the program, the main thing to remember is to usually read the instructions that Neil's put together, because they usually kind of lead you right along the path. Well, we can see that the first thing that you do is you click this File Sign On button. And the reason to do that is that once you've done it, you see your name comes up, in the name of the person who's logged in comes up in the top. Now when I save this investigation, it'll have my name and the date, and so in a classroom situation or a tutoring situation, it's easy to keep track of the investigations. Now the next thing it says is to start, choose a specimen word and then try to find its word sum. So we're going to click onto this, and we enter into the main window that we'll be working in. So we're going to have to choose a specimen word. So I'm going to just choose the word discovery. So I'm going to type that in here, discovery, and I just click this little check mark, and so I've now identified what my target word is. Now I may have a good sense already of what I think the base might be, but I want to show you that if you're new at this, if kids are new at this, that they have one of the things that the Word Microscope does is gives you a means to kind of follow the path. And one of the key things for that is this button up here for the Ideas probe. One thing here we have is this little button will give us hints about when I'm not sure what to do of what I can do. So if I didn't know to do that, push the little question button and it leads us along. So anyways, here's the Ideas probe. What it does is it brings up a new window, and what it knows that I'm trying to work on the word discovery. So explore the active word sum. So I'm going to click forward. And I could either inspect it as a whole word, I could analyze it, or search a word family. Now, I am assuming that discovery is a complex word, so it's got a base and something else. So that means I want to see what Scopo says that how I might analyze it. So I've clicked that, I click forward, and it's noticed that it could have a Y suffix. Notice also, though, it's giving me this interesting possible analysis of disco and vary. Now, it's one of the things really helpful to know is that the Ideas probe is structurally smart, but meaning stupid. And by that I mean it just looks for plausible structures, but it doesn't understand the meaning of anything. And this is a good thing, because what we really want to do is we want to have the user use their mind and be able to recognize, to look at the structural possibilities that the tool presents, but be able to make a decision. So I have no reason to think that disco and vary have anything to do with discovery, but the idea that discovery and discovery related, well, that makes sense. So I go there, I can click forward, and now I can either explore as a base word or search. I'm going to explore this further because I don't think we've gone as deep as we can go. So I click forward, and now I could inspect it or analyze discover. Let's see if I can go deeper. I go forward, and here we go. Now we have another similar situation. We have a DIS prefix hypothesis presented with a COVER. So with the idea of cover as the base word, but disc and over is structurally possible, but of course this discover has something to do with discs or over. So I'm going to stick with this one that the Scopo says is very likely, and go forward. And now I could see if I could analyze cover more. For the moment, I'm going to suggest that I think cover is a logical assumption for a base, and maybe I could find something out later. But for now, let's explore cover as the base. I go here, and now what I want to do is, since I'm going to work on the hypothesis that covers a base, what I want is to see a possible family of words with that same base. So I click forward, and now I get this nice little pile of words that I could use to build word sums and a matrix. So I could just move this over to the side, and now I can start to use that as a reference point for this. So if discovery is the target word, my suggestion is that COVER is the base. So I go ahead and type that in the working base cell. If this is the case, I can see that I would have to have a DIS prefix, and I could click here and select that, but I want you to point that another way of doing this signal is with this little P with a dash that is for prefix, and I could just press enter there, and that's done. Now the suffix then must be Y. I click this. Oh, I forgot to tell it, and I can see there's no dash there. I forgot to tell it that this isn't unknown. I actually do think I know that it's a suffix. So I fix that, and I have the word discovery. Now, as my hypothesized word sum is structurally plausible, Word Microscope has recognized that, and it's posted this post-it note. So when I click this, it will come in. Now, if I can't remember, notice this see ideas on what to do next. It will tell me. So I can click that, and it says always check that the meaning of your word is related, and I can go down for more pieces of advice. But for now, I'm just going to see what happens if I post my word sum. And what happens is immediately the word sum I've constructed pops into the word family sums field, and my matrix has begun. And over here you see that my elements have started to grow. I've added a DIS prefix and a Y suffix to my list here. I look over here, and I see the word coverage, and I can think again, well, coverage and cover, are they related? Well, that makes sense. I need coverage for my class next week because I'm not going to be able to be there. So I can see there's another one. So I'm going to put there, and I was thinking, well, it must be that AGE is a suffix if I'm going to go, if I'm making the word coverage. So AGE I type, click the suffix, and there, and then my target word for this one is COVER, AGE. I click this. Notice the post-it note pops up. I notice I have left this blank, but this is something you don't have to worry about it. It's not a mistake. It just treats it as if nothing's there. And so my new word sum pops up, and my matrix is growing. Now, how about let's try another one? I've noticed there's a number of compound words presented in this list. So let's try this idea of hardcover. So like a hardcover book. And that makes sense because, of course, the cover is related. Now, so I'm going to put in here the HARD, and notice that this is a base. So I click that, and now I've told it it's a base. And why don't we just add another tool when we say more than one hardcover? So we have hardcovers. And then we put that in here, and now I type out my result, HARD, COVERS, click the check mark, and if it's properly formed, I can make a new one. And there's my word sum going. Now, one thing is, there's a limited number of words here. There's other places that I can go to build this up. One thing is, these are the elements I've done. Notice that the bold is signaled because I called it a base. But if I want to think of some other possible morphemes, I've got a whole bank in here I can draw from. So I can look for common prefixes that might give me ideas of things I could do. I notice, for example, there's the RE. That might just spur the idea of, oh, I could make to recover, sorry, RE, cover from an illness. So recover, and why don't I just add another suffix? He's recovering, ING. There's a suffix, and I post that, and now I have to remember. Now notice if I forgot, let's say I forgot to type anything there, and I tried to post it, I'll just get a message that will remind me, oh, no, I don't want to post this. I haven't put the target word. So now I go RECOVER, ING, click this, and now when I post it, it's properly formed, and my matrix goes. Now there's other ways that we can, other places to work with this. Up here you see the tools. When I click on that, I can see there's a variety of places to go. For one, I could go to the word searcher, and now that's going to open a new window. And here I could say, well, I'm now looking for words with the base COVER. And when I click on this, I get a larger pile of words. And when I look down this list, I could see other words. And one thing I'm noticing is I could look at the word recoveries or discoveries, make it plural. So I'm going to go back, and of course I could copy and paste all that into a document if I wanted. But let's go back here now, and I want to make discoveries. So I need to have the prefix dis. Now I want to show you something in my elements file. If I've already typed this prefix, I can just drag it and drop it in there. And then I have discovery is going to be the stem of discoveries. So there's a suffix, and I click this. But now I need to add another suffix. So I put a right click on this. I add a cell after, and now I can obviously add more cells for anything. And it turns out I need the ES suffix for discoveries, and we can talk a bit more how I know that later. And that's a suffix. But I wanted to pick this one because I want to show you that I need to know that when we add this ES suffix to discovery, that we end up with a changing of a Y to I. Because I know the spelling is DISCOVER, change the Y to IES. I click that, and it's important to know that as I say, the word microscope is structurally smart, so it understands why I changes, so it accepts that spelling change. But if you're new to this work, or you just want to, this is part of the work, we need to know what that suffixing change is. So if we had a question about that, that's one of the other tools that we have here. If you may have noticed the suffix checker on the web. So I go here, and it gives me a way to do this. So if I type in the word discovery, and I add the suffix es, the finished word has that, I think it has that YI change, but let me just check it. And the way this does, once I type in the word sum, it reminds me of the question. So I click on the first true statement. The suffix begins with a consonant letter. No, that's an ES, so it's a vowel. So the suffix begins with a vowel letter, including Y. And then the first true, does the basis stem end with X or W? No. Does the basis stem end with more than one consonant letter? No, the Y is the final. Basis stem with just one consonant with the basis stem ends with a vowel letter, including Y. The baser stem ends with Y. Yeah. There is a vowel letter before the final Y. No, it's a consonant. The suffix begins with I. No, the suffix doesn't begin with I. Click here, and there it tells me that I changed the Y to I, so my finished word was correct. DISCOVER, change the Y to I. Yes. Okay, so we can. What I want you to see is that you have access to tools online that can help you with that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to move this out of the way. I can close that, and let's say that the bell is about to ring and it's time to save my work. Well, one thing I could do is I can click save. I go up to this little symbol here and I click save, and now it tells me that it's going to be this cover discovery investigation. I'll type Peter, and when I click save, I've got it in my file, and I can come back to it and open that at any time. The other thing that I want to show is that there's this tool, the word microscope. The title is chosen because of it actually is doing science. It's a scientific investigation that we're doing, and one of the things that this tool that does is so great for classroom teachers and tutors is it keeps a scientific log of each investigation. So by clicking on that log button, I see that I have my findings from the specimen word. You can see the matrix that I've built. You can see the word families so far, the word sums, all the elements, and it's recorded that this was an investigation by me on October 2nd. And of course, I can go right back into this, and I could work on more things, and then a log would update. So that's a really quick tour. I do want to show you that when you go to the page to work with this, when you get to the word microscope, there's you'll see all sorts of things that you can work on here, and there's lots of advice on how to use it, the contents. So if you're new to it, you get an introduction. There's lots of places to go to get advice on. My internet works. Why it's called a microscope, the ways to use it. So there's lots of tools for you to look in more detail, but for now I think we've given you the basic idea, and there you go. I hope that you make good use of this tool.